Discover the incredible life-changing secret: an orphan sold for $50 revealed to be a billionaire. Charlie sat in the dim light of the community center, the smell of sawdust and fresh wood filling the air. Once sold for just $50, he now wielded a chisel like a magician. While his childhood was marked by despair, the tools of carpentry became his salvation. Every stroke brought him closer to something resembling peace, a patch of land in his mind where the weight of his past faded, even if just for a moment. His mother's voice echoed in his mind, whispering that hard work and honesty were the keys to a meaningful life. He cherished those words, clinging to them as if they were the only thing anchoring him to sanity in a storm of loss. Losing his family at such a tender age left him adrift, tossed around by the foster system, but he built himself back up like the sturdy chairs and tables he crafted. Despite the warm touch and support from foster family 5, another change felt impending. It was hard to shake off the label of the orphan that clung to him fiercely like an unwanted shadow. Yet every evening, he found shelter in the underfunded community center, his sanctuary, where laughter often battled against the harshness of life. Charlie would work tirelessly alongside Mr. Bill, the Vietnam veteran with eyes that held 1,000 stories. "Keep sawing through the wood, Charlie. One cut, one piece at a time. Life's the same," he often said. The wisdom would sink deep into Charlie's soul, uplift him when doubts clawed at him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as he was getting his groove, a wealthy businessman strolled into the center one day. This man was everything he wasn't: he polished, dressed to the nines, and full of ambition. After a brief, tense conversation, the businessman saw promise in Charlie's work and offered a partnership. It sent a surge of hope through him. Yet, beneath that excitement brewed an anxiety. Could he embrace this new life without severing bonds to the family who nurtured him with love? Tension reared its head during a pivotal town meeting when secrets began to unravel like the thread of his worn-out hoodie. Gasps filled the air as Charlie discovered he was the long-lost heir to a family fortune, a shocking revelation that left his heart racing. The whisper of betrayal and the struggle for belonging clashed within him. In that moment, he felt history weighing down, tugging at his loyalty to the foster family who had stood by him. Could he balance these newly revealed ties with the foundation of hope built on sweat and community love? As eyes turned to him in anticipation, the walls of the community center echoed with the question he was afraid to face. Who would he choose to be: the orphan who conquered the odds or the heir shackled by his past? Standing there, Charlie was not just choosing a path, but defining his identity, a critical moment hanging in the balance. Charlie felt the air thicken around him as the murmurs of the crowd faded into silence. That weight pressed against his chest, a mix of duty and fear threatening to squeeze the air right out of him. How could he reconcile this unexpected truth about his past with the life he had fought so hard to build? Memories of late-night conversations with his foster family bubbled up, the laughter shared over simple dinners, and the way they made him feel valuable, important, loved. He glanced at Mr. Bill, who had stepped back slightly, eyes filled with concern. This was the man who had taught him resilience through wood and nails, who believed that a swing of the hammer symbolized more than construction, it was creation, a metaphor for living. Yet here was Charlie, unsure if his own future was a project to be crafted or a free fall into the abyss. "Charlie," a voice called from the back of the room. It was that polished businessman, his slick hair and expensive suit a stark contrast to the humble confines of the community center. Imagine what you could do with the right resources. A business built on your skills, your legacy. That word legacy made his stomach twist. Who was he to inherit a legacy when every corner of his life was a compilation of broken pieces? It felt like a betrayal to accept this fortune when he was still trying to piece together his own identity. Gasps erupted among the community members as if they were trying to process the impact of his potential transformation. He could feel their hopeful eyes tracking every small shift in his expression. Charlie stood there, fighting to find his voice. What if it's not about the money? His heart raced, each pulse echoing louder than the last. I've learned that it's about the people you surround yourself with, the family you make, not the family you're born into. The love I've received means more than any fortune. Another murmur spread through the crowd, waves of emotion washing over the room. This was not just about the inheritance, it was about choices, relationships, and his own definition of family. He turned to the businessman now, feeling a thirst for honesty. Can you promise me that success won't change who I am? Will it tear me away from the very people who gave me strength? Silence engulfed the room once more, a thick tension hanging above like the weight of unspoken promises. The businessman's face flickered with uncertainty for a moment. Success can be intimidating, Charlie. But it can also build means to help others. I don't need handouts. Charlie felt the heat of frustration rise within him, anger at the system, at his past, at himself for feeling unworthy. He took a breath, grounding himself. I need to honor the struggle that shaped me, the love that saved me. As he stood there, he realized the truth. The fortune he never knew he had could offer him options he never dreamed of, but it wouldn't define him unless he allowed it. He was still Charlie, the boy who faced darkness, who found light through carving wood, through laughter shared at the community center, through love given by his chosen family. And just like that, a plan began to form in the back of his mind, one that wove together his past and the potential of his future. With that, Charlie felt a swell of determination rising inside him, an echo of hope fighting against the uncertainty. But even in that moment of clarity, another thought nagged at him. What did this mean for his foster family? Would they still accept him if he chose a different path? The question loomed like a dark cloud overhead, casting doubt over his burgeoning confidence. As the meeting reached its crescendo, Charlie knew a choice was looming before him, a choice that would alter everything once again. Would he step into the light or retreat back into the comfort of the past? The choice sat heavy in his heart, threatening to tip the scales in ways he couldn't yet foresee. The crowd held its breath, waiting for his answer, but Charlie was not yet ready to speak. What lay ahead might change everything. He needed time to think. The weight of the moment pressed down on Charlie like a looming storm. His heart raced, the eyes of the entire room were on him, filled with a mix of expectation and concern. He could almost hear the collective heartbeat of the crowd. They had watched him grow, felt his struggles, and now he stood on the precipice of a decision that could redefine his entire existence. Charlie, take your time, Mr. Bill said softly, stepping closer. His familiar voice felt like an anchor in a swirling sea of uncertainty. This isn't just about the money. It's about you and what you want. Charlie turned his gaze away from the crowd and stumbled into a memory. He was back in the woodshop, hammering away at a piece of timber, oblivious to the world outside. Mr. Bill's laughter echoed in his ears, and he could almost smell the sawdust that once filled the air. Those days of working side by side with his teacher had forged his sense of belonging. Could he hold on to that same feeling as everything around him shifted? He looked back at the businessman, whose polished demeanor seemed to shine even brighter in contrast to the simplicity of his surroundings. But what if accepting this, whatever it is, changes the way I see everything? What if it puts distance between the people I care about? Charlie, the businessman responded, a hint of annoyance creeping into his voice, this is your chance. You can do so much good with the resources you'd have. Think of the lives you could change. His words buzzed like a bee trapped in a jar, but Charlie felt more focused on what was in front of him. Or I could lose myself along the way, right? He countered. What good is a fortune if it comes at the cost of the love I've known? The crowd shifted, whispers rippling through them, nodding in agreement. Charlie felt a swell of emotions: fear, hope, determination. They were all here for him, witnessing this battle for his identity. Maybe it's time to define success on my own terms instead of chasing someone else's idea of it. As he spoke, a clarity washed over him, and with it came the dawn of an idea. What if instead of diving headfirst into what I'm owed, I use the opportunity to make the community better? What if I invested in places and people I care about? More gasps echoed through the crowd, his words hanging in the air like fireworks bursting brightly. He felt a flicker of excitement, a glimmer that drove him forward. Charlie turned back to the businessman, who now wore a skeptical expression. Can your resources help build a workshop here? Can they bring in more programs for kids who need outlets to express themselves, just like I did? The businessman studied him closely. You want to create a community center of your own? Exactly, Charlie said, passion glowing in his eyes. I want to give back. To honor the love I've received. I want to teach kids how to shape their futures with their own hands, just like I learned. Silence took hold again, but this time it felt more vibrant. The crowd was intrigued, leaning in closer. But, Charlie continued, the urgency of his message pouring from him, I need to know that those who matter to me, my family, will still be by my side as I take this leap. Can anyone truly succeed if they feel alone? The room pulsed with anticipation, unaware of the new future he was starting to carve out. In that moment, Charlie felt a sense of liberation swelling within him, but unease still lingered, threading through his excitement. Would his decision push the very family he cherished away? A rising tension filled the air, the crowd holding their collective breath, and Charlie felt the gravity of his choice settle like a blanket over him. He was ready to take a step toward something new, but only if it included them. As he looked out at the faces of those he cared about, a pivotal moment appeared before him. The decision was fast approaching, like the moment of truth on the edge of a cliff. Would he dive in hand with his future, or step back, shaken by fear? The audience remained still, and within that stillness lay a lifetime of choices. Still left unmade. Charlie's heart ached with anticipation of what was to come, a new path emerging, but not without sacrifice. The next move could change everything. Would he embrace this next chapter or turn back toward the comfort of his past? In a heartbeat, clarity struck Charlie like a bolt of lightning. He had imagined this moment countless times, but now that he stood on the brink, the stakes felt insurmountable. His eyes flickered around the room, searching for the familiar. There was his mother, her brow furrowed, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. His little sister clutched a stuffed bear to her chest, wide-eyed and waiting for her brother to lead them forward. He needed to hear their voices, to feel that foundation beneath his feet once more. Mom. Ava, he started, feeling the tremor in his voice. His mother nodded, encouraging him to continue. I'm right here, sweetheart. Whatever choice you make will be okay with us, she replied softly, her voice wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Charlie exhaled, the air heavy with hope and fear mingling together. What if I use this chance to build more than a community center? What if I can create a family of sorts? Not just for me, but for the kids who don't have anyone to turn to. A hush fell over the audience, curiosity hanging like dew in the air. The businessman leaned forward, interest piqued. You really think you can handle that responsibility? Building a place for others to thrive, while balancing your own? Of course I can, Charlie replied, surprise surging through him. And not just me. I would want a team of people who understand, who've been through what we've been through. Experts and dreamers. Together, we can make it happen. The crowd responded with a tidal wave of approving murmurs. In that moment, Charlie felt the once looming weight lift, replaced by a sense of purpose that sparkled in the dim light of the room. Was he really starting to believe he could? Like the children he wanted to help, he hadn't simply been given the opportunity. He was determined to create it. I can't do it all alone, but I refuse to make this decision without considering those I love, he said, his voice steady. This path is not just for me. It's for all of us. But just as quickly as the hope rose, a flicker of doubt extinguished it. Would those who mattered most, the very people he hoped to uplift, accept the new direction he dared to pursue? What if they didn't understand? What if they were afraid of change, burdensome memories stirred by the thoughts of what was lost? Silence lingered, the air crackling with unspoken reflections. Charlie met the eyes of his family, needing their support like lifebuoys in a stormy sea. Each heartbeat echoed louder, yet he remained still, not wanting to drown in the noise. Then, he stepped forward. "I want to know right now, can I have your support?" The words caused a ripple. His sister's hand unclasped from her bear, and she took a brave step toward him. "I believe in you," she shouted, her small voice cutting through the silence, powerful and raw. Charlie's heart swelled, and his mother, clearly moved, nodded vigorously. "We'll always be right by your side, no matter what choices you make," she added, the love in her eyes unmistakable. Hope burst through the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Charlie glimpsed the spark of a new dream flickering in the eyes of the crowd, warm and inviting. But then the businessman intervened, leaning forward with a knowing smile that sent a chill down Charlie's spine. "If you go down that road, Charlie, you may find more than just support. You might uncover secrets you never expected. Are you ready for that?" Charlie's heart pounded, a new mystery enveloping the promise of the future he envisioned. What secrets could lie ahead? Would they enhance his journey or cloud it with more challenges? The weight of the decision still pressed on him, but now an exhilarating thrill accompanied it. He stepped to the edge, gazing into the unknown. Could he, with the support of all those he loved, navigate this uncharted territory waiting to be discovered? The answer was just within reach, but he had to take a leap that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Would he embrace not only the chance to change the community but also the revelations lurking beneath the surface? The moment sparkled, electrifying and full of possibilities, waiting for him to dive in headfirst. He could almost hear the anticipation breathing in the room, a living thing rustling in the air around him. Charlie felt electric, yet the weight of uncertainty hummed below the surface. What did the businessman mean by secrets? Would this new journey bring answers or further questions? He took a step back, the audience's eyes locking onto him, waiting, expecting. For the first time, he felt the enormity of it all wash over him. It wasn't just about creating a community center. This was about building a legacy, fostering a sense of belonging that he had longed for his whole life. Charlie, his mother's voice broke through his haze. "What are you thinking? Talk to us." He shook his head, lifting a hand as if to clear his thoughts. I want to do something meaningful, you know? Maybe it starts with this center," but he paused, letting the weight of his words settle. "Maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe it's about healing not just for me, but for everyone who has been through what we've been through." The murmurs of the crowd deepened, their interest shifting from cautious skepticism to curiosity. Charlie met the eyes of a few familiar faces, people who had also experienced loss, people he never thought would be part of his journey. He felt his resolve solidifying. "Do you remember the times we felt invisible?" he asked. "The isolation? I don't want anybody to go through that anymore. I want us to gather, to share our stories, our burdens. A place to connect, to grow, to be loved." His passion stirred something within the room. Nods circulated. Charlie turned his gaze to Ava. "And what about you?" "I want it to be a place where you can shine. Where you can share your dreams without fear. I want to help," she exclaimed, her excitement a bright flame amidst the sea of somber expressions. Charlie's heart lifted. If she believed, then maybe he could, too. The businessman straightened in his chair, not dismissive but intrigued. "You've got charisma, Charlie. Your vision is ambitious, and ambition comes with its dangers. Are you truly prepared to face the depths of what you'll uncover? Sometimes, digging for treasure means unearthing the skeletons in the closet." Charlie felt a chill crawl up his spine. What do you mean? I can't say right now, the businessman replied, a cryptic smile crossing his face. But in your quest, you might find pieces of your past you never anticipated. Some may inspire you, others could break you. That ominous tone resonated in the hollow of his chest. Could he really handle the revelations tied to the people he once lost? Secrets swirled like shadows just at the edge of his mind. Conflicting emotions rode waves within him, fear of the unknown, and a driving urge to forge a path. I can't let fear hold me back. Not anymore, he said, the thought echoing in his soul. I owe it to myself and to everyone I want to help. With renewed determination, Charlie stepped forward, his heart racing. I'm ready for this journey, whatever it may bring. I want to build that space for all of us. And I want to uncover the truth about my past to do it. The crowd erupted in applause, the energy infectious. He basked in that moment of connection, the weight of the world feeling a little lighter. But as they cheered, the businessman's face shifted, his smile fading momentarily into something more serious. Just remember, Charlie, not every truth is pleasant. Sometimes they shatter the world you know. Charlie's pulse quickened. What had he just vowed to uncover? With adrenaline still surging through him, he couldn't turn back now, not when he stood on the precipice of something so big. The highs and lows of the journey lay ahead like an unwrinkled map, but would he be ready for the twists and turns that waited for him there? As the applause settled into a hushed anticipation, he understood, the real adventure was just beginning. Charlie's heart raced in the wake of the applause. People were counting on him, and he couldn't let them down. As they began to quiet down, he noticed the businessman's eyes still watching him intently. A sense that something more profound was at stake settled in the back of Charlie's mind. You need to understand, the businessman spoke again, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper, that this community center, it isn't merely a project. It's a mirror reflecting deeply hidden truths. If you choose to pursue this path, you will have to confront both the beauty and the horror of your past. The way those words hung in the air felt like a veil slowly lifting. It was a promise of revelation, an unsettling but necessary journey. Charlie felt a pit forming in his stomach. What shadows would he have to navigate? Would the community center mean facing ghosts he wasn't ready to meet? Charlie? Ava's voice cut through his thoughts, her brow furrowed with concern. What's wrong? He swallowed hard, forcing a smile. Nothing. I'm just thinking. A lot. But deep down, he knew this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone waiting behind him, hoping for a brighter future. As the crowd began dispersing, Charlie caught sight of some familiar faces. There was Jacob, who had recently lost his sister, his usually vibrant spirit dimmed. Next to him stood Emily, clutching a crumpled flyer for the community center, her eyes reflecting hope mixed with hesitation. It was a reminder of why he was stepping onto this journey. I'll find a way to help us all, Charlie murmured under his breath, as if promising the universe. But a weight pulled at him. The shadows of his past were long, stretching into parts of his life he had buried deep. There was a time when he thought those memories wouldn't bother him again, but now, they were beckoning. I still can't believe you're going through with it, Ava said, pulling him from his thoughts. Are you really sure you want to uncover those secrets? Of course, he replied, though uncertainty laced his voice. The community deserves the truth, no matter how painful. He needed to believe that. For the first time, the possibility of real healing felt tangible, even if it was wrapped in discomfort. Ava took a step closer. I'll stand with you, Charlie. No matter what we find. A glimmer of gratitude surged within him at her words. He could face the future with allies by his side, but what if the truth shattered their dreams? Would their resolve hold? The crowd had thinned out, leaving the two of them standing outside the building, the cool air brushing against their skin. Charlie took a deep breath, ready to embark on the unknown, both fearsome and freeing. Then, a sudden thought struck Charlie. You said you wanted to help. What if we start with our stories? I need to know what others are willing to share. Ava's eyes sparkled with understanding. That could be liberating. We could create a safe space to talk things through. Exactly. His excitement began to return. A place for everyone to open up. Maybe that could be part of the center, you know? Healing through sharing. As they walked toward the car, a flicker of hope ignited in Charlie's heart. This could be a chance not just for himself but for the whole community. But as they reached the vehicle, a shadow loomed from the corner of his eye. A figure dressed in black stood at a distance, watching. It was unsettling enough to suck the air from his lungs. Do you see that person? Charlie asked, pointing. Yeah. Who do you think they are? I don't know, but it feels wrong. Just then, the figure turned and vanished into the night, leaving nothing but an unsettling chill in the air. Charlie knew, then, that this journey wouldn't just be about uncovering the past. Shadows were already lurking, and he had yet to discover how deep they went. What if those shadows knew something he didn't? As questions surged in his mind, promise and fear intertwined, and in the heart of uncertainty, Charlie felt a trembling sense of reality begin to unfold. Little did he know, what awaited him would change everything. What kind of secrets had been buried for so long, and who would come forward to share them? The next morning, Charlie awoke with a tangle of emotions coursing through him. He replayed last night's events over and over in his mind, the applause, the crowd, and the ominous figure lurking outside the building. A knot tightened in his stomach. Could this be connected to everything he was about to uncover? As he got ready, he stared at his reflection in the mirror. Today, he'd meet with Ava and a few others to draw out their stories. It seemed simple enough, but the weight of those buried truths rested heavily on him. Ready or not, he muttered, trying to boost his confidence. He took a deep breath, determined to face whatever came his way. When Charlie arrived at the community gathering space, he found it buzzing with excitement and unease. People mingled in small clusters, their voices a blend of anticipation and fear. He spotted Ava near the entrance, her expression a mix of encouragement and concern. "There's Jacob," she said, nodding toward a corner where he stood alone, staring at the ground. "I think he could really use someone to talk to, Charlie." Charlie's heart sank as he approached Jacob. He could feel the heaviness in the air between them. The loss of Jacob's sister hung over him like a cloud, making every word feel like a fragile glass ornament. "Hey, man," Charlie began, trying to keep his tone light, "how you holding up?" Jacob looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "I'm okay, I guess. Just, trying to make sense of everything." Charlie nodded, unsure what else to say. He suddenly longed for something profound to drive the conversation, but what he felt was only silence, the kind only grief can create. "Do you want to share your story?" Charlie asked softly, hoping the offer felt inviting enough. Jacob's gaze fell. "I don't know if I can. It's just too painful," he finally admitted, tears glimmering in his eyes. "What if sharing it makes it worse?" The tension in Charlie's chest tightened. Sometimes sharing can lighten the load, even just a little. You would be surprised at how much support you can find in telling your truth. Jacob hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll try." The flicker of hope in his expression, however small, awoke a sense of purpose within Charlie. Their conversation continued, and soon Jacob opened up about his sister, the laughter they shared, the dreams they built. With every word, Charlie felt the walls around Jacob begin to crack. It was a small breakthrough but significant. They weren't just talking, they were connecting, sharing the burden of loss together. Meanwhile, Ava was talking to Emily, who had been standing at a distance. Watching them, Charlie realized the power of vulnerability. As the stories began to flow, room by room filled with connections, laughter mixed with tears. It was beautiful, and strangely empowering. But still, the mystery of the figure from last night lurked in the back of his mind. Just then, the door swung open with a creak, and in walked that same figure. The person paused, their face hidden in shadow, but Charlie felt a cold bead of sweat slide down his back. Who were they, and why did it feel like they stepped out of his nightmares? "Do you see that?" he whispered to Ava, who turned to look just as the stranger started to advance closer. "This isn't good, Charlie," Ava said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We should leave." But deep inside, something compelled Charlie to stay. His heart raced not only with fear but an intrepid longing for answers. What secrets did this person hold? Why did they feel so connected to him, like threads of fate unraveling before his eyes? "Wait!" Charlie called out, stepping forward. "Who are you?" The figure stopped, the shadows parting just enough to reveal a flash of recognition. In that moment, Charlie realized, whatever was coming next could change everything for him and the community he was trying to rebuild. But would it be for better or worse? The truth hung like a pendulum, and he felt it sway dangerously, ready to topple. The figure paused. The room fell silent, tension thick enough to slice through. Charlie squinted, trying to make out the details of the face emerging from the shadows. It flickered between familiar and foreign, a strange play of memories hitting him like waves crashing against the shore. "I can't believe it," Ava murmured beside him, her voice trembling. "Do you know them?" Charlie asked, his heart racing even faster. "Yes," she breathed, her eyes wide and shocked. That's Rowan. But what is she doing here?" Confusion snaked through Charlie. Rowan was someone from Ava's past, a figure who had been a beacon of hope during their darkest days. A solace in the chaos. But there was something distinct in the way she held herself now, something, perhaps, that spoke of lost years and wearied burdens. Rowan's gaze scanned the crowd before settling on Charlie. He felt a chill race down his spine. There was a flicker of recognition in her eyes, to a shared history he thought long buried. "You remember me," Rowan said, her voice low and hoarse. "We crossed paths before. Long ago." Charlie felt the weight of unspoken words hover in the air. "Why are you here?" he asked, desperate for answers, yet cautious of the emotional minefield. "I've come to share what I know about your past, and the truth buried within this community," she replied, stepping into the light. The yellowish glow illuminated her features, an echo from a time when things seemed simpler. The crowd stirred, whispers alive with curiosity. Jacob shifted, and Charlie caught sight of his battered face reflecting a mix of hope and dread. Could this stranger be the key to unraveling the pain that held them all captive? "You can't just walk in here with that," Ava said, her protective instincts kicking in. "What gives you the right to speak about our lives?" Rowan met Ava's challenge with a steady gaze, but her voice cracked as she continued. "Because I know what it feels like to live in the shadows of secrets. I was once an orphan, sold for the price of a meal, but that isn't all of it. I learned the truth, the real reason behind my abandonment." Charlie felt his heart thump wildly against his chest. An orphan sold? What greater reality lay hidden beneath the surface of their seemingly peaceful lives? "Please," Rowan urged, looking at each of them in turn. "You've all suffered for too long. We can't change the past, but knowing the truth can lighten the burden." In that moment, Charlie sensed a crack in the walls he had built around himself. He stepped closer, knowing the stories he had been collecting of Jacob, of Ava, of everyone around him needed a foundation of truth to build upon. "Can you tell us what you know?" he breathed, sensing the room holding its breath. Rowan nodded, taking another step forward. "It's a story filled with pain and hope. One you might not be ready to hear." The air thickened with anticipation, every person in the room leaning in, craving the answers they never knew they needed. But deep down, Charlie sensed that this revelation could either bind them tighter or shatter the fragile connections they had forged. And as Rowan began to speak, he couldn't help but wonder, what if the very truth they sought was darker than they could ever imagine? Would the fallout be too heavy to bear? The truth was close, but it felt like stepping off a cliff. Could it be a way up or just a fall into the unknown? Rowan took a deep breath, as if diving into a cold pool. The collective warmth of the room seemed to drain away, leaving only an electric current of tension in its place. Her voice trembled, yet there was a steadiness that cut through the fear dwelling in Charlie's heart. Years ago, in a place just like this, she began, I was one of the lucky ones. A family took me in, but they had their own demons. I thought I'd escape a life of torment, but found only more shadows lurking. She paused, searching their faces for understanding. I was sold for $50, almost a joke for my worth to someone. Gasps echoed through the crowd, a collective intake of breath that mirrored Charlie's own shock. A low murmur coursed through them, filled with disbelief and sympathy. Charlie reached for Ava, interlacing his fingers with hers, hoping to ground himself in the reality of it all. It wasn't just my fate, Rowan continued, her eyes glimmering with unshed tears. There are countless like me scattered in corners of this town, hidden behind the smiles and the forced laughter. Ava's grip tightened. But how did you find this out? She asked, her voice steady, drawing strength from the growing conviction in the room. Rowan looked at her, and in that gaze, a reflection of shared struggles and wounds passed between them. Because I fought to uncover the truth. I needed to know what made me who I am, to claim my story. And in that pursuit, I uncovered the dark veins running beneath this community. Secrets that connected us all. Charlie could feel the pulse of anxiety in his veins. The urgency of her words hung in the air like a ticking clock. What kind of secrets? He asked, pushing through the anxiety to grasp at clarity. Rowan stepped forward, closing the space between them. There's a network out there, hidden in plain sight. People you'd never expect. They keep records, gather information. They trade lives as though it's nothing. They want to keep it buried, your past, my past, all our struggles. He could see the weight of those truths settling on the room like thick fog. Charlie's thoughts raced. But why are you telling us now? Because, Rowan breathed, I believe we can change it. We can fight back. But first, you need to confront your histories, face what was done to you and understand that it doesn't define you. It empowers you. A silence fell, profound and heavy as everyone processed her words. It was as if time had stopped, and Charlie felt the enormity of revelation swell within him. The idea of fighting back was intoxicating, thrilling, but it was also terrifying. Are we ready for that? Jacob finally spoke, his voice breaking the stillness. What if those shadows swallow us whole? No, Rowan replied firmly. The shadows are afraid of the light. Together, we are the light. And the only way to illuminate it is to be brave enough to shine together. As Charlie looked into Rowan's eyes, he felt the stirrings of hope mixed with fear. A rush of determination welled up within him, intertwining with his lingering doubts. Could they break free from the cycle of despair? But as the question spiraled in his mind, another thought crept in: what if the fight they were considering would come at a price none of them could bear? In that moment of silence, as they stood on the precipice of a revolution, Charlie felt it in his bones. The upcoming battle for their truths wouldn't just reshape their lives, it would challenge every bond they had ever formed. What if the drive to uncover these secrets laid bare their most vulnerable selves? He glanced at Ava, her face awash with uncertainty, and a question bloomed in his heart. Were they truly prepared to unearth these buried truths together, knowing some might not survive the unveiling? And as Rowan's eyes glinted with determination, Charlie realized they were at a crossroads. He took a deep breath. Ready or not, they would have to decide if they would leap into the unknown together. Would they embrace the chaos ahead or retreat back into the shadows? The air buzzed with tension, a heavy silence stretching as Charlie stood at the center of the crowd, their eyes locked onto Rowan. He felt the weight of every option, the echoes of rich histories entwined with pain and hope swirling around him. Each heartbeat thrummed through him, resonating with the cracks of their shared truths. Together he whispered, as if anchoring those swirling thoughts into a single commitment. We lean on each other. A ripple of agreement swept through the crowd. Rowan's eyes sparkled with a fierceness that ignited a flame within Charlie. Whatever ghosts of the past lay hidden, whispers of sorrow and forgotten dreams, they would confront them as one. Do you understand the strength we gain through unity? Rowan asked, her voice fierce now. What you have all endured, those tattoos of pain, will lift you. Let them fuel you. As murmurs of doubt softened into resolute nods, Charlie couldn't help but feel exhilarated. The shadows of fear started dimming against the fire of their collective resolve. Ava tugged Charlie's sleeve, her face alive with anticipation. This is our moment, Charlie. We can build something, not just a center, but a community fighting for change. Exactly. He replied, the idea of hope rolling through him like a surge of warmth against the chill of uncertainty. This isn't just about us. It's for everyone who has felt lost or abandoned. We will expose the darkness hiding in plain sight. The crowd surged forward, emboldened by the shift, and Charlie could feel hearts beating in sync now, a community pulsing with life once more. He noticed Jacob lifting his head, visibly shaken yet resolute. If we genuinely confront this, I want to help. I can share my sister's story and use it to ignite passion in others. Expose the truth. Tears glimmered in Jacob's eyes, and he turned to the others, urging them to do the same. I never thought hiding would feel so heavy. We need connections, sharing those burdens. I want to share too. Shouted Emily from the back, stepping forward. I've lost so much. It's time for us to be heard. Exhilaration bubbled in Charlie's chest as people began sharing more, voices rising, mingling like colors in vibrant strokes of expression. Secrets and stories fluttered from everyone, bare and raw. Each word nudged aside hesitation, illuminating the dark corners of their lives. Yet, a lingering concern pierced through Charlie's excitement, a sharp reminder of the shadows still hanging over them. The figure from the night before slipped back into his thoughts. But what of those who wished to silence us? He asked, his voice steady, showing resolve in the face of uncertainty. What if revealing this truth attracts danger? Then we confront that danger together. Rowan's conviction reverberated throughout the space, silencing whispers of fear. When truth stands bold, darkness shrinks in its presence. We will establish a network to protect ourselves. A zeal gripped the group, laughter mingled with determination, and together, they surged forward towards an unknown destiny. Charlie felt an exhilarating rush, the anticipation flooded with a sense of shared purpose. Let us meet weekly, he proposed, invigorated by the energy descending around them. For more storytelling and planning. We'll build trust in our community and mount our charge against the shadows. With encouragement rippling like vibrant waves, they set dates, capturing everyone's stories around a round table of care. Excitement blended beautifully with apprehension, their resolve stitched tighter with every word they shared. But deep inside, Charlie still felt the cloying presence of destiny in the form of unanswered questions. Would they truly uncover all the truths? Would fighting the shadows bring collective strength, or fracture bonds he desperately wished to preserve? In weeks that passed, a new chapter materialized, their community blossoming into a tightly knit network, built on foundations of honesty and strength. Yet the cautionary notes of Rowan's warnings tinged with reality, a reflection of growing risks in their journey, led by whispers swirling malevolently behind them. One evening, gathered together in the center, a fresh warmth illuminated their faces as each introduced themselves anew through shared stories. But Charlie couldn't shake the shiver of foreboding riding the edges of his optimism. It was during one of these sessions when the door swung open. An icy draft swept through, sending chills across their skin. And standing there was a figure cloaked in darkness, one who exuded both familiarity and menace. Charlie's heart sank. Shadows fell across the warmth of laughter, and whispered gasps filled the room. Anxiety threaded its way through the gathered crowd. Who was this new contender? Ava, Charlie whispered, stunned. Do you recognize them? Not entirely, she muttered back, unease digging into her expression as they instinctively huddled together, forming a wall against the oncoming storm. Who are you? Charlie demanded, stepping forward, showing both courage and vulnerability. What do you want? As the figure shifted, their features began to materialize from the shadows. Each step felt like a threat, yet also an impending revelation. And as familiarity washed over him, Charlie felt both fear and hope coil tightly within. Charlie, they spoke, voice unmistakable. Who are you? He pressed, pulse quickening. But before they could respond, Charlie felt it, a weighty presence in the room, a fateful tilting of the scales. The truth within this encounter felt electric as it surged towards a collision course. Maybe they were here to expose the last fragment of the past, or perhaps it was the final confrontation with his shadows. Time hung delicately, and as he locked gazes with the figure who now seemed to mirror his own unresolved questions, he sensed that the true battle was about to begin. Prepare yourselves, the figure continued, the weight of their declaration bearing down heavily. To unearth what has lingered beneath. It's time for your community to awaken and face the storm. And with that, Charlie felt an awakening, a pulse thrumming alive within them, a surge of defiance. The journey, thrilling and treacherous, was no longer just about secrets, it was about claiming the future together, standing as one against whatever darkness awaited. A collective breath was held, and as they stood on the precipice of truth, Charlie embraced the reality unfolding before him. This was their destiny stirring to life, urging them to challenge the shadows and step fully into the light. Are you ready? The figure asked, challenge echoing through the room. This was the moment. Fearless and united, Charlie felt a fire ignite within. Let us go. He shouted, ready to face anything that arose from the depths, knowing they would do it together. And just like that, amid the encroaching darkness, Charlie felt hope shining brighter than ever. It was time to forge their legacy, to push through the storm as one resilient family, a family shaped by shared pains, triumphs, and an unwavering commitment to each other. Time for the world to awaken. Time for the truth to shine. Time for a new beginning, and oh, what a journey lay ahead. Now, if you felt the emotional weight of Charlie's journey, you need to subscribe immediately to catch all the exclusive stories coming next. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let me know you want more transformation tales like this. Drop a comment about what you felt in this ending, your reactions matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us spark a movement together.